Imagine you're lying flat on your back. Your body is encased by an iron cylinder, and the only thing exposed is your head. Your eyes glance anxiously up at the faces of the nurses and doctors around you. You inhale, but wait, you can't. Your body is paralyzed, and just as you're about to panic, the machine that is enclosed around your body begins to whir. You feel the air pressure change, and in rushes the air. You inhale, a breath of relief. And then you try to exhale, but still you can't because you are paralyzed. The machine whirs again, and the air rushes out of your lungs. This is an iron lung, a medical device developed in 1928 to help victims of polio be able to breathe. Polio, an epidemic that was long forgotten by the American public. At its peak, it had 60,000 cases, 3,000 deaths, and left 21,000 of its victims paralyzed. This all changed, however, thanks to a man by the name of Jonas Salk, who in 1948 developed the first inactivated polio vaccine, and from there the rest is history. Polio and the iron lung became relics of the past, and this black and white image is something that we have never seen again today. However, what if I were to tell you that polio might actually be making a comeback? That for the first time since 1978, we would see the very first case of polio on American soil. This is the story of the vaccine, and I'm here today to tell you all to please vaccinate. So to understand the story of the vaccine a little better, we need to look at another key player in the story of the vaccine, which is measles. Much like polio, in the early 1900s, it was a seasonal epidemic that claimed thousands of lives and had hundreds of thousands of cases each year. However, as we can see in around 1964, the first vaccine for measles was licensed, allowing for a steady decline in measles cases. And by the year around 2007, we can actually see that the number of measles cases in the United States dropped to nearly zero. Unfortunately, though, in a more recent report between 2010 and 2019, we can see a very different change in the number and the trend of measles cases. Though the scaling is a little different, I believe that the values that you see here are still very significant. And to put things into perspective, between 2010 and 2019, there was a 1,174% increase in the number of measles cases in the United States. So any public health official looking at this graph would probably assume, gosh, is the measles virus actually mutating at a rapid rate? What exactly is going on here? Is the vaccine no longer working? But actually that is not the case because measles hasn't had a significant mutation in over several centuries. So if it's not the virus, then what could it be? Unfortunately, the answer is us. We are the problem. So in America, there's a growing movement known as the anti-vaccination movement. A lot of us, would probably hear people saying, well, why should I vaccinate against polio if the last time we saw polio was all the way in 1978? It's an obsolete disease. Why am I injecting myself with this? Still others may claim, well, there are side effects to vaccines that we don't know about. There's too little information. These risks outweigh the benefits. And I've even heard some people say, vaccines contain the stem cells of unborn babies. We shouldn't be vaccinating. So all of these come from something very similar. They all stem from the lack of knowledge about what a vaccine actually does. So to give us a quick crash course on what a vaccine is, I would like us to imagine ourselves. One day, we are pitted against a world-class fencing specialist. Without any warning, we are asked to fight against them. Many of us, just in myself included, would probably lose within a matter of seconds. But what if we were given the chance to practice on a fencing dummy? We're allowed to practice a little, familiarize ourselves with what actually fencing is, and we're able to have at least a little more experience and a better chance of survival. This is exactly what a vaccine does for us or our immune system. The vaccine allows our immune system to train, as the fencing specialist can be seen as our infection. So the vaccine essentially provides our body with either a weakened version of the infectious disease or bits and pieces of the pathogen involved, allowing our immune system to train, buff up, and gain some sort of experience to help prevent a lethal infection, increasing our chances of survival. So the question still remains, why should we vaccinate against polio if we haven't seen polio in America since 1978? The answer to this is globalization. Today, it's very possible for us to travel around the world within 24 hours, or halfway around the world within 24 hours. This means that the transmissibility of diseases around the world, for example, polio, still existing in many third world countries, can actually make its way to American soil. And because of this, the likelihood of the spread of disease, such as polio or measles, means that we have outbreaks reoccurring today. So I want to finish off by leaving us with a quote from the current CDC director, or Center for Disease Control Director, Robert Redfield. And he says, "Don't leave science on the shelf." Today, we live in a time with great technological and medical advancements. We have a literal vaccine for cancer through the HPV, or human papillomavirus. Each year, the CDC reports approximately 80,000 deaths to flu alone, and a majority of these deaths are preventable. So don't sleep on this opportunity. Stay happy, stay healthy, and please vaccinate. Thank you.